When a rising star chooses silence over spotlight. If you think a young player would seize any opportunity to shine on a big stage, Alex Eala will make you think again. Last month, the 20-year-old from the Philippines declined an invitation to the qualifying rounds of the China Open, a prestigious WTA 1000 tournament that features almost all the world's top players. And instead, she chose to appear at a small tournament called the Jingshan Open. No dazzling spotlights, no packed stands, no international media. Just a little-known provincial court. Yet that was where Eala placed her bet on the future. And what happened? She only earned $5,300 in prize money, less than the monthly salary of an office worker in Manhattan. Meanwhile, simply stepping onto the court for the first round in Beijing would have earned her $7,155. Moreover, winning just one or two matches could have brought the prize money up to tens of thousands. At first glance, this is clearly a puzzling choice. But did Eala really foolishly miss out on tens of thousands of dollars and dozens of ranking points just to choose a meaningless tournament? You're about to witness a strategy that many have never considered. Because Eala isn't merely choosing an easy tournament to win. She is self-imposing pressure, where she is the top seed, where all eyes are on her, and any failure would directly harm her morale. But that is precisely how champions forge their mettle. And at minute 14, you'll see the invisible advantage that Jingshan, not Beijing, gives her. Something that no ranking table can measure. If you are a sports enthusiast, fascinated by strategy, and curious about decisions that go against the grain, don't leave this video. And if you want to discover more untold stories behind a court, where money isn't everything, subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel. Because the great game always starts with moves the majority doesn't dare to make. Her own rhythm, the secret not for the impatient. There is a truth that not many people acknowledge. The closer they get to the peak, the more players play less. Roger Federer once skipped the French Open just to focus on Wimbledon. Novak Djokovic chose to skip ATP 500s to preserve his form for Grand Slams. And Alex Eala? She is taking a similar path, not following the WTA schedule, but carving her own route, slow but accurate. Choosing Jingshan instead of Beijing was not just a tactical decision. It was a decision about rhythm. Match rhythm, recovery rhythm, maturation rhythm. In Jingshan, she was not chasing the desire to prove herself. She reset her internal clock, not competing with high intensity, but competing in a state of balance. This is an extremely rare mindset at age 20. Most young players get caught in the whirlwind of play as much as possible, appear wherever there's a camera. But Eala and her team understand. A tennis player is not an influencer. They are an athlete, and form needs to be managed like an asset. By choosing tournaments like Jingshan, she preserved both her physical and mental health. She wasn't running a show. She was finding her own rhythm. That is the difference between someone playing for points and someone playing for the peak. Stability does not come from the number of appearances. It comes from the right frequency. And Eala is building a sustainable competition model for herself, less but higher quality. Each match is not just a chance to win, but a comprehensive check. Physical, tactical, psychological. And that is what professionals deeply value. What do you think? Is the person who plays more stronger, or the person who knows when to disappear to return more dangerous? No one watched, but everyone observed. No cameras, no commentators. Not one rally went viral on Twitter. But don't think Jingshan was an invisible tournament. Because in the professional tennis world, there is a subtle monitoring system. Coaches of top 100 players track potential opponents. Directors of WTA tournaments quietly check the statistics. Sponsor representatives analyze data no one knows about. And all of them were watching Alex Eala, not because she reached the semifinals, but because of how she reached the semifinals. In the quarterfinal in Jingshan, Eala lost the first set, her morale dropping. But in the second set, she began to change, shortening rallies, drawing her opponent into their weak backhand, forcing errors with relentless play. At the end of the match, she saved 3 consecutive match points with tricky serves, showing no sign of fear. That was the moment the underground system noted, this player has matured. No spotlight needed. Only the people who needed to see it saw it. And that is the difference. Wild cards for the Miami or Dubai Open next year are not given to someone who wins one impressive match. They are given to someone who proves consistent capability in any circumstance. The audience might not have watched the Jingshan semifinal, but the organizers of the early 2025 tournaments did. They need to know who will be the new factor, who deserves an invitation, and on that list, Eala has just been underlined. Winning where no one is paying attention, but to step into where everyone is watching. Isn't that the dream? That is the strategy. What do you think? Isn't sometimes the most important match the one no one mentions, except the most powerful people? Payoff, small step back, strategy for the peak. If you take this entire story and only ask, how much money did Alex Eala get from Jingshan? Then you've probably missed the whole message. She didn't earn much. She didn't cause a media sensation. But she gained something that most young players never achieve, the ability to refuse the spotlight to prepare at the right time. In professional sports, true success is not when you are illuminated, but when you know when not to appear. Jingshan was a step backward on paper, but it was a step forward in inner strength. It was the choice of a player who doesn't want to be the most famous, but the one who lasts the longest. And that is the scary part. Because once you see Eala's name on the top 50 list next year, you won't find a single match of a lifetime online. You will find a series of results that cannot be refuted. No drama, no hype, just strategy and efficiency. That kind of success is not loud, but it also cannot be ignored. So what about you watching this video? Do you choose to pursue a brilliant moment or build a journey that forces everyone to look back and nod in agreement? If you believe in that kind of success, sustainable cold, not needing a PR contract to exist, subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel. We tell the stories the press doesn't cover. And if you feel you misunderstood Alex Eala before watching this video, leave a comment. I used to think differently. Or share. Who is the next player you want to explore? Because the journey to the top doesn't start with a major tournament, but with the right decision made when no one is watching. It's not the court, it's the fortitude that creates a star. No one is born a champion, and certainly not in a place like the Philippines, where tennis lacks million-dollar academies, legendary coaches, and a ready-paved road to the WTA. But from that very foundation of scarcity, a girl named Alex Eala began a journey no one would bet on. At the age of 8, while many American children were playing tennis on artificial turf under LED lights, Eala held a wooden racket on cracked cement courts, practicing in the scorching 40 degrees Celsius heat of Manila. No ball machine, no technical analysis team. She practiced every backhand as if it were the last chance in her life. Every time someone said, Asian girls can't beat the tall European players, Eala silently added extra hours of practice after school. Not to prove anything, but because she believed, to be seen, you first have to be consistent when no one is watching. When she won a scholarship to the Rafael Nadal Academy in Spain, Eala didn't just step out into the world. She had to face a cold truth. She was no longer the best player there. Training sessions started at 6 a.m. and ended at 9 p.m. Players her age came from Russia, France, the US, Japan. Everyone had international junior titles. Everyone had crushed opponents back home. But it was in that environment that Eala learned the most important thing. Tennis is not just skill, but the fortitude to survive. When no one is cheering, do you keep hitting or drop the racket? When you're eliminated from 3 consecutive tournaments, do you hide or analyze every small error? Eala's answer was, I don't have to win right away. I need to continue. Perhaps you once thought, if she were born in Florida or Paris, she would have gone further. But are you sure? Because some athletes only grow strong when they start in a place where everything is against them. Perhaps it is precisely because of that rugged journey that Eala chose Jingshan, where she controls the court, instead of Beijing, where she could be swallowed whole. What do you think? Is scarcity a barrier, or the fire that tempers a champion? Refusing Beijing, an almost insane move. Have you ever seen an athlete refuse $7,000 to take $5,000? That's exactly what Alex Eala did. While most young players would jump at a WTA 1000 tournament like the China Open, where the spotlights are brilliant and global audiences follow every stroke, Eala chose to retreat to a small corner in Jingshan. Sounds like a step backward? Not quite. The China Open, with all its fame and prize money, is also a gathering place for players ready to crush anyone inexperienced. Eala could have faced a former top 20 player right from the first qualifying round. And if she lost, no points, no rank increase, nothing gained except a mental setback. In Jingshan, she was a high seed. That means all expectations, all pressure, were directed at her. No one allows her to lose. And that is the true challenge. Because to become a champion, you don't just need to defeat strong opponents. You need to know how to win when everyone believes you must win. This is no longer a stage to cause an upset. This is a test to forge nerves of steel, to withstand scrutiny, the whispers after every double fault, and the feeling of being weighed down by expectations. Choosing Beijing is about attacking. Choosing Jingshan is about controlling. And Eala chose the latter, not because she was afraid of losing, but because she knew the time to step out into the world must be when she is truly ready. Would you dare to refuse a chance to be seen, to quietly build inner strength, even though you know no one cares where you are? Points, prize money, and the cost no one sees. The media always likes to talk about money. $7,155 for a loss in the qualifying round? Not bad. But what most people don't see is, in professional tennis, it's not the dollars, but the points that determine whether you survive or disappear. And Alex Eala understands that better than anyone. If she reached the final round of qualifying in Beijing, she could earn 30 WTA points. But just losing the first match, which is very likely against opponents desperate to make the main draw, she'd come away empty-handed. Meanwhile, a semi-final in Jingshan, despite being small, still brings 27 points, certain, clean, without risk. It's not just the numbers. Doing that means she won multiple consecutive matches. It means she went onto the court, controlled her nerves, flipped the script when needed, and escaped when cornered. Not everyone understands. A player who wins 3 matches in a row, even at an ITF level, learns more than someone who loses early at a WTA 1000. And what about the money? Yes, the amount in Jingshan is lower than in Beijing. But try asking, what is the cost of a loss in front of millions of global viewers? Loss of confidence, loss of momentum, loss of mental drive for subsequent tournaments. Tennis is not like football, where you lose today and play again next week. Here, every point can drop you out of the top 200, and 1 week of slumping form can force you to start over. And Eala is not gambling her future just for a lucky break. Sometimes, the smart one isn't the one who wins big, but the one who knows how to win consistently, win surely, and win when no one is watching, so that when the time comes, they appear suddenly, and no one has time to react. If you could gain 3 more ranking points by taking the risk of losing early, would you trade? The tournament no one watches, but where Eala levels up. If you only look at the results board, the Jingshan Open might seem like a small milestone. Eala reached the semifinals, played 3 matches, earned over $5,000. But the truth is, this tournament was her psychological laboratory, a place with no TV cameras, no fanatical fans, and no one paying attention whether she won or lost. But that very absence of everything was what Eala needed most. In Jingshan, no one cheers you after an ace. No one celebrates when you save a break point. And no one comes up to ask for an autograph. This is not a place to build a brand. This is a place to forge quality. And Eala stepped onto the court like a warrior training in the shadows, waiting for her debut day. For the first time after many tournaments, she was a high seed. That means she was not allowed to lose. No longer the cute underdog who gets praised despite failure. Now every double fault is a reminder. You don't deserve to be here. That very feeling, the invisible pressure that only those on the inside understand, taught her more than any loss to a top 30 player. Because to advance into the top 100, you can't just know how to fight from below. You must learn how to carry expectations, control the flow of the match, and win as a habit. Furthermore, Jingshan took place between two grueling tour legs. Choosing this tournament was not just choosing an easier opponent, but choosing the right time for recovery. Many young players get caught in a grinding schedule, going from one tournament to the next, and their form evaporates before the season ends. Eala didn't do that. She hid at the right time, then chose Jingshan to fine-tune her footwork, control her nerves, and regain her hitting rhythm. No one saw her practice, but when she enters the next tournament, everyone will wonder, how is she hitting so solidly? Without knowing that the answer lies in a quiet court, in a provincial town named Jingshan. Do you believe champions are not made in the spotlight, but in the dark? Beijing, short glory, long pressure. Let's assume Alex Eala had chosen Beijing. A young player, bright face, hailed by the Filipino media, entering a WTA 1000 tournament, the stage for the world's biggest names. One win there? It would be a headline. 2 wins? She would immediately secure sponsorships, endorsement deals, and be called the future of Asia. But it only takes one loss, and it all vanishes like a soap bubble. That is the nature of elite tournaments, glamorous, merciless, and no room for immaturity. The Beijing qualifying round is not a place to gain experience. It's a place of survival, where every stroke is a battle. An inexperienced player like Eala could be eliminated after just 40 minutes of play. And then, no points, no confidence, no fame. Only the label of not ready yet. In contrast, Jingshan, though small and low spotlight, gave her something priceless: control. She chose her opponents, chose the match rhythm, chose the moment to accelerate. And most importantly, she avoided a fall in front of a global audience. In tennis, wrong timing is wrong everything. A loss that is too early, too obvious, can make sponsors reassess your true potential. The WTA system doesn't care who you almost beat. They only remember you lost. Eala and her team understood there are matches that should not be played, simply because the cost of losing is higher than the cost of not participating. Jingshan was not an act of avoidance. It was an intelligent selection. What do you choose? A small but solid win, or gambling everything just for a chance to be seen? Eala team, a startup without a burn rate. In the eyes of the audience, Alex Eala is a young player full of potential. But few know that behind her is a sophisticated operation, no different from a startup raising capital. She is the CEO, the coach is the chief strategist, the fitness expert is the R&D team, and the sponsors are the investors. And like any young startup, the most important thing is not hypergrowth, but surviving the first season. Choosing Jingshan, seemingly small, was actually a product test. No media, no commercial pressure. It was where the Eala team tested how she reacts to the role of a top seed, her mentality when she is not allowed to lose, her ability to adjust tactics in real time. Every match there wasn't for highlight reels, but for data collection, which they will use to optimize next year's strategy. Just like a tech company before a global launch, they need to test the beta version. And Jingshan was that beta. You don't see Eala on the big stages? That's intentional. Because every appearance comes at a price. Ranking points, brand image, fan sentiment. And if you launch at the wrong time, you don't get a second chance. She is no longer playing tournaments for fun as before. Each tournament is an investment and must have a specific ROI. We are witnessing a very critical phase. Eala is transitioning from a junior player to an athlete operating as a living brand. She doesn't need to play much. She needs to play right. Her team doesn't need many resounding victories. They need to build a stable, sustainable narrative. A story that keeps sponsors investing, media attention coming at the right time, and fans loyal. Because in modern sports, the strategy for existence is more important than a momentary explosion. What do you think? Is today's athlete still a person who plays tennis or the CEO of a startup named after themselves? Media wants a phenomenon. Eala chooses to become a legend. Modern sports media is impatient. They love sudden explosions, overnight star players. They build a phenomenon from one win and destroy an entire career with one loss. In that world, Alex Eala is a paradox. She is not explosive. She is not appearing in top trending topics. But she is still there, winning small tournaments, climbing the ranks step by step. No noise, no race, just steadily moving like the minute hand of a Swiss watch. Choosing Jingshan instead of Beijing is the clearest evidence. While the press craved a new name to promote, she chose to go the opposite way. No flash cameras, no big courts. Just the ball, the net, and persistence. And that is the difference between someone who wants to be famous and someone who wants to last. Do you know how many players were called prodigies after one WTA tournament and disappeared? More than 60% never returned to the top 100 after their first time in the spotlight. Because the spotlight can illuminate, but it can also burn. Eala understands clearly. The media doesn't remember who lasted long. They remember who caused a shock. But the WTA doesn't operate like the media. The WTA rewards those who are persistent. And Eala is playing to survive, not to shock. A tournament like Jingshan doesn't have a viral moment, but it's where she learned to shoulder responsibility, how to play when people take it for granted that she must win. That is a lesson greater than any points. And when Eala truly steps into a major WTA tournament, you won't see a new phenomenon. You will see a complete player, not coming to learn, but coming to win. What do you think? Between a win that makes headlines and a career that lasts 15 years, which do you choose? When you are the target, Eala's first victory. For the first time in her professional career, Alex Eala entered a tournament not with the mindset of a promising Asian girl anymore, but as the target. In Jingshan, she was the seed. Her name was at the top of the draw. Every opponent looked at her as the person to beat, and that completely changed the nature of the game. When you are the underdog, every good shot gets praised. Every loss is forgiven. But when you are the person who must win, every mistake is magnified. A double fault becomes a mental issue. A hard-fought win is a sign of dropping form. Eala didn't just compete. She faced the psychological pressure that only top 50 players are familiar with. And that is the real victory. She didn't let the match slip away. She adjusted tactics mid-match. She reversed the situation after losing the first set. Not because her opponent was weaker, but because she began to learn how to master the match script. Not reacting, but proactively controlling. That is the turning point between talent and real player. Jingshan taught her one thing: winning when no one expects it is easy. But sustaining the win when everyone expects it from you, that's the challenge. And Eala, for the first time, stood firm in that role. This was not a victory for the front page, but it was a victory that helped her step out of her own shadow. No longer Alex from the Nadal Academy, but Alex, confident, standing independently, without a protective shell. What do you think? Isn't the most important turning point happening not on the podium, but in the moments when no one is applauding?